good evening, or good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Okay, I'm frog in the throat, I think. Yeah, right at the start of the stream. You know me, I don't worry. Anyhow, this is part one of the actual motion system. So I've made a couple of other videos where I used scale models to test with the Arduino on motion for motorcycle simulator, test my frame design, and been really happy with that. I will still be doing that with the new BMW one, because I upscaled it to, so it's now actually got motors, potentiometers, and that I'll actually be able to use Arduino code to do some certain testing for a totally standalone system. So I know people are going to think, wait a minute, is it just to do with models? No, it's the full sit-on system. You can just about see the tailpiece of my CBR sitting over there. She'll be used for the prototype, and I've actually got to build one to go out to Malaysia for the MotoGP, the Malaysian MotoGP in November. So it's full-size motion simulator, and I'm excited to say the least. But the first part of this stream is going to be about DOF reality. It states the P2. So I spoke to Igor over at DOF, and he's brilliant. I've been talking to him for years, in fact, but because obviously his systems are predominantly for cars and flight, motorbikes, totally different kettle of fish. So yeah, it's been a long journey for me to come up with a design. But if you can imagine taking a DOF Reality P2 system, I should have got a picture ready for this, and then putting it on a table and sitting on top of it, that's kind of what I've had to do. But of course, I can't use that frame because you can't get your legs spread over it, and yeah, it's just not going to work. But that's the principle. So I've raised, my design is to raise up a standard car sim system, hide it inside the fairing as best I can, and have a motorcycle simulator. But it's not as simple as you think. But anyhow, what I want to do is, I just literally yesterday got my P2 from Igor, and he got it to me really quick. I did pay a little bit more, but I didn't buy a whole system because I don't need the frame, don't need the hardware. And Igor was very, very kind and allowed me to purchase just what I needed. And it's something he's going to do normally. It's a rarity, and I thank him for it. Very, very grateful, because I really need to use, in fact, the DOF system because of what it's capable of. But when I got it, I had problems. I couldn't get it to work. Now, I've never done motion before, and this is not going to be an exciting video. Yeah, a lot of mine aren't because they're technical. This is for someone that's just getting into motion, and has got a DOF system. And yeah, it's easy enough to set up, but there are a few things that aren't mentioned by DOF, and it's purely because you don't always cover everything and don't think of everything. But I found a few things that caused me a problem. Managed to sort them out now, but I did email Igor and the team, and they were right back at me, helped me all of yesterday. Luckily I found out what it was myself, but yeah, this is to show people that the simplicity of it, also those little irky bits that you might not catch. And no one's really made a video you can follow easily. They're also quick, or they don't even talk and just play stupid music while they show you something. And so I thought, no, I'll make one where you don't have to rush. You can get yourself a cup of coffee or a beer and sit down and watch and figure out what you need to do. So to start with, show you the components, because obviously I just got mine yesterday, so I've got the latest of the components, and they are a bit different from most videos you will see, because most of the videos are 3-4 years old, and the control box is different now. Motors are different, so I don't have the SFU motors because I can't fit them inside the fairing on my CBR. My CBR is about the best fairing to do this. I've got to build a Yamaha R1M, which later in the video I'll be showing other people, but those that are just interested in DOF. But I've only got the standard gearbox, not the SFUs, just so you understand that. Either way, they're quality, very high quality. Everything from DOF is high quality, I have to say that. So, what did I get? Now, like I said, I didn't get much because I didn't want the frame or the hardware or anything like that. I've got my own ball joints, I've got my own universal joints. I'm making my own frames. So I just needed basically the motors, the control box, cables. I've got extended cables as well, the emergency brake. That's basically it, that's all I need. But before you go, because you think, oh, that's not much, it's also about the software and the simplicity of when you get it and take it out of the box, because you don't want to build your whole system. But the first thing you don't want to do is take your electronics, connect your motors, connect it to the computer and test them before you put them in your system. Make sure they're working, you'll get everything done, and it'll be far easier for you, and you won't have to do it grovelling on the floor if you've got a good table. So this is for everyone, even if you've got full P2 system or P3, it works the same. Right, so let's have a look at some of these parts. I'll start off with the controller. After I lit a cigarette. Those who follow me know me, smoking, drinking and chatting or yakking, I don't know. Right, the stream doesn't go bad. So to start with, this is the new box, and if you watch most videos of the DOF systems, you'll notice that they've got the main plug connector for the power for the motors. Then there's a second one, and most of them have got the round 3-pin plug that you screw on. I think that's done with, because now what we've got is this lovely box here. Yeah, hold it in the right place. As you can see, now this is blanked off because I'm only using 2, because I've got a P2, not a P3, but the box is obviously usable for all of them. You've got your main power from the wall, so your wall socket, plug in. Where are we? This is for the emergency stop, and then at the top, I'll hold it the right way, Alan. I'm terrible at this kind of thing. One of my cameras doesn't work, so I've ended up having to use just one camera, so I'm sorry. So this is the USB to the computer, and then starting from the top, you've got obviously your power cables, and following them down as well, you've got these are like a telephone connector, a cat cable. So it starts motor 1, motor 2, motor 3, and it follows the same down. So this is motor 1, this is motor 2. That's simple. On the back, simply got your power switch, and that's it. And it's nice, you've got good ventilation there, and that no ventilation underneath, unfortunately. I like stuff cold, so once I know it works, I might actually edit the casing so it breathes a bit more. But for now, I'm keeping everything, so I'll make sure it just works standard. You've got the one fan there. Underneath, you can see where you can change. I'm in the UK, so I'm on 230 volts. And you can see the extra hole there in case an extra PSU had to be put in there. So that's the box, and it's not bad, and I love it, right, because I've already tried it on my CBR. This fits really nicely in the bottom of the fairing. Now, it's not that heavy. I mean, the whole of my bodywork from my bikes is only like 8 kilo. The Yamaha is only 7 kilograms for the whole racing body kit. And these are genuine racing body kits. Fiberglass, Kevlar, reinforced. And because you've got that different way and that whole thing's moving, I was thinking about really keeping it so concealed as much as possible. This could fit, so I'm going to actually try it on my system and see if I can put it in. And the motion's not going to be so that it's going to be shaking the box about and buggering it up. He says hitting the handlebars. So that's actually a plus. I really wondered about the size, and I'm such a happy guy about the size of this. But it also means I've got an extension cable kit, which I'll show you in a second, and it's 2 meters long, so I can put the box away from the simulator if I want to, and that, because I'm trying to make it so that there's nothing around the bike. It's just a bike on its own. You know, everyone else has got great big frames around them, or it's a motorbike on a big frame, and it takes up a whole room, and it costs a fortune, and I don't want that. I want it to be the essence of a motorbike and look like a motorbike. So yeah, I'm trying to keep that in there. So talking about those cables, this is one of them. So you get, it cost me £70 for the extension cables for a P2. That does both the motors. And you can see there the connector that I'm talking about. It's like telephone connectors. And then you've got these, a male and a female, and they're 2 meter long. Also in that nice covering. And that's, so you get 2 of those. And it does come, my main gripe is because it's, if you notice, those connectors are exactly the same as the ones that go in to the box. So how can you get connectors? So they give you this typical British Telecom horrible beige double connector, and that I go make it black. These are getting sprayed black if I ever use them. So yeah, that was the only point. Well, no, there was another one with the emergency stop, but I'll get into that in a bit. That's not actually a point I would say as a gripe. It's just one of those things that happens if things are in storage or whatever. But that's that. So, talking of, and which, the switch, the emergency stop. Now, I'm going to remove it from the box. I've already taken this apart, so I've seen, because I had to. It gave me a problem. It was part of the reason why my computer wouldn't recognise my DOF reality. because this must have been on the shelf and possibly got dust in it or something, I don't know. But they come where it's already, you press it and that stops the power to the system. Well, the problem is, and the way it works is actually not quite as it sounds. I'll explain that also later, which is part of the reason I'm making this video. So it comes already down and you have to turn it clockwise to release it, and then it'll work. Well, the thing is, sometimes when something has been stored for such a long time in a certain position, there are certain elements inside you're going to have a bit of grease or whatever, and that can basically get sticky, and it didn't fully release, and that stopped the connection it should have made. So yeah, that was not a gripe, because I'm a technician and I understand these things happen, and I did find it out. Part of the reason I'm making this video is so others know, check your switch. All it needs is to be used a couple of times. Press it, release it, press it, release it. It's just been sitting for so long in a pressed scenario, that's all. Right, now to the power. Well, actually the box has the power, because that's where you've got your power units and the motor drivers, and they give the oomph to the motors. But the motors are going to be able to take the power and deliver it and do it correctly. Now, these are actually not too heavy. Quite surprised. I'm surprised at the size. Mind you, my original design, I was going to use some really big motors, which I will eventually, because I'm going to be doing some other projects. But these are sweet. Unfortunately, there is no like markings on the gearbox to say what it is, like some of the other ones. But taken from the measurements that I've taken to make my drill jigs, it's got to be an R30, probably 1 to 25, 1 to 30, not quite sure. The motor is, as stated by quite a few, it's 220 watts, 1500 RPM, 24 volt, which is good, because 24, you see, voltages are very different when it comes to motors, and 24 is really good. And that 220 watt. Now, I've done testing and I haven't even noticed, but you've got to remember, I haven't had it in a rig. I've literally had it on the table. But even when turning the box on and using the motors, my meter that tells me exactly what's going from the wall. So I know, because I've got 3 50-inch screens and a rather beastly computer going, that I'm pulling 662 watts right now. But when I plug this in, it'll probably only, well, it might go 670 while I'm testing and not really using the energy those motors have got, because they'll only start using energy once they have weight on them. So that's going to be interesting to do. I mean, I'm going to be making a load of videos on this. And I'm sorry this is taking time, but I want people to see what is what. So, because my C920 camera decided it would take a shit, literally the focus went to absolute, I don't know where, it's taken a vacation. It's gone, there's no focus, everything looks blurry. I've tried everything and I'm not like dumb. So yeah, I've got to work with one cam, which is going to make it awkward. So yeah, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to turn the cam, and you're going to have to excuse me. I'm then going to put this motor and the box over on this table in front of me, and I'm going to attempt to show you plug in how it is, the simple stuff. But some people want it. Some people actually need to have someone show them a great way to do things, and that's what this is for. That way there's never errors. There's always one of us boring buggers out there, isn't there? Better boring and safe than buggering up. Something like that. So, let's grab this motor. Come on, baby. I'm going to run out of space pretty soon because, alright, so let's see, well, turn this around here, do it down there, yeah, because we're going to have that like that. And you would be surprised how feisty these little puppies can actually get. I was using, and one of the reasons I'm using DOF is for joystick motion in SRS. What an amazing thing that actually is. Because it means that if a game doesn't have motion telemetry, SRS will allow you to use your controller to basically just to stop them from flipping. Yeah, I think that'll be alright. I had them on the floor, they were flipping all over the place, and I was like, bloody hell. It's untangled. I'm sorry, I'm standing right in the way of the bloody camera. Duh. Right, I always find if you're plugging something in and you've got one on top of the other, it's best to plug the bottom one in first. So the bottom one's going to be number 2. So then find the naturalness for the cable. That's number 2. And number 1. And unlike some of them, there's no colour coding, just numbering. Right, that's those. So then actually we need power. Now, where are we? One thing I did find was, I don't know if it's in the full kits, but I didn't get a power supply cable or a USB cable. So you need USB type 1, well, type 2, which is the white colour, easiest way to remember, and that's a B, that's an A, so you've got an A to a B, and that goes into there, and then the power into there. Right, not connected. The button at the back, when you feel behind, if you push it, your finger will be underneath and it will be sticking out at the top, so you know it's off. So just leave that there. Right, now I need to do everything with extension cables, and this is where I learnt my second lesson. First off, I've got a, I've got to look behind me, one of these as an extension. Now this will take 2,400 watts, 10 amp, unwound, but only 720 if it's wound. So if you're using an extension cable, don't use it wound up, because a P2 will take more than 720 watts. Just remember that. So that's going to be that part. Quite happy. So the power's in. Now, the one that caught me out, sorry that you're only hearing me, see that's the USB 3. Where's the 2 that I need? Right. So I'm going to drag these both over, make sure I don't plug the wrong one in. So, all my cables are extension cables, are USB 3. My computer is, as you can see, about 10 foot away from where I sit. So everything has extension cables, and to get to the bike it's going to need an extension cable. So I used 10 of these, couldn't get it to work. Don't use USB 3 extension cables with the DOF Reality. USB 2, it's white, okay? Although USB 3 is superior, yes, the DOF Reality it doesn't seem to like it. So I'm going to plug it in as well. Well, actually, no, I'm not, because it'll enable me to demonstrate while sitting, because you've now seen that. And turn the camera back a bit so I can sit down and show you the software. Right. So now, seriously, I tried every port, a bunch of cables, because from my handlebars to my foot controls, I use a USB 3 cable, which I cut so I can connect the male-female. And then each end, one goes into the control board on the computer, on here, and the other goes to the foot controls. So that's all I've got is USB 3. Luckily, I found a 3 meter USB 2. That helped, but obviously this thing, the stop switch, caused me a problem, of which I'll talk about in a bit. So I'll put that there so I remember to talk about what happens when you use it. Right, so we're at this point now. We're set up, ready to go. Now you've got to know, how do you recognize it in Windows? Right, so when you get your DOF, you can download DOF Reality Tools, the zip. When you download and extract that, you will end up with, I'll find my, right, I'm going to make myself small now, because you don't need to see my ugly mug much more. Right, this is what you'll have. All of this is what you have, and you have several programs in that to help you. Basically, you've got the SMC3 utility, which you use to basically calibrate the motors, which you shouldn't have to do with luck. So far I haven't had to do with mine. I will have to, because I have to change direction of my arms. But one is very, very helpful, and that's called USB Tree View. So we've got that here. Now if you can see, I need to just close myself a bit, don't I? Oh no, what I can do, I can drag the bloody thing over a bit. There you go. Right, if you look at this top portion here, you'll see this top tree here. If you look at port 9, it's empty. Now what I'm going to do is connect the small USB to the extension, and there you see it's opened up, and this is how the unit, those two beeps is the Arduino board on inside the box recognizing it's now connected. And you can see this here, it's now ST Microelectronics USB serial device, and it will tell you the COM port. Now that COM port is something you really need to know, because if you need to calibrate and connect to your Arduino at any point, you will need to know that it's on COM3. You also need to know your system is connected. And this little program here saved me so much headache, because it told me straight away what was connected, what was not, what ports are free, what are not. So yeah, USB Tree View, brilliant little program. That's all you need. Have that on when you connect your DOF reality, and it'll verify that you are connecting and it's recognized. Make sure you don't have SMC or any other program running. My advice is, when you're doing something like this, I mean, I've got recording, so streaming software, I've got the internet open, I've got loads of shit open, but I'm not setting something up. So give yourself that advantage and turn off as many programs as you can. And generally I recommend, if you've got antivirus running, turn it off. Antiviruses can really be a bitch when you're trying to install software and get things working. So take note. Okay, so that's that piece of software. Right, next thing, I mean, basically I'm not going to get into flashing the firmware and SMC3 yet, because I don't need to do it, and I won't be flashing my firmware because I know I don't need to do it, because I'm not using SFU motors. SMC3 I will have to use, because I'm going to have to reverse my arms. That's for another part of this series, so I'm not going to get into that now. So basically we're going to get on to, yeah, you're going to need, 1 second, I've got to sort my windows out. You go over there, come here, you go here, right. So once you actually got your system just literally turned on, okay, so now what I'm going to do is turn the system on. Or wait, yeah, turn the system on. And now all you really need to do is, now you see, I'm not going to do Sim Tools, I'm using SRS, so Sim Racing Studios. So I'm going to pull up my Sim Racing Studios, and you can see automatically it's recognized my motion box. So it knows, and ignore that I'm on Joystick at the moment. That is just because I can also use that. So I just go to hardware, and I'll scoot down to motion. So now, basically, I've turned on Simulation Studios, and it automatically has recognised I've got that system. So I just go up here again. Motion compensation is for VR. I've turned it off because I don't need it, because I'm using it for motorbikes. For motorbikes, you don't want motion compensation. That's only for cars, planes, stuff you don't actually physically move your body. On a bike you do, so you want it off. So you can see there, I've also got a butt kicker, so I've got my shake box and motion box. It's already recognised. If I now unplug the USB, you see she turns off. Back in, and it's recognised. So you can connect and disconnect while in SRS. So it's a case of, if you have problems, turn software off. So if you're testing, turn SRS off, and that you don't want that while you're doing anything directly with the box and Windows. Excuse me. So that's the basics of, yeah, you're now hooked up. Like I said, my problem was using a USB 3 extension cable. Big no-no, and you wouldn't use a USB 3 type B cable. I don't think you can actually get one, because they stopped making type B when USB 3 came out, but it's still used because its physical size for certain elements like this, it's perfect. And Arduino's only USB 2 anyhow, so it doesn't matter. So now you see how simple it is. I mean, that is really that simple. Yeah, this video's been going on for bloody ages, but at the end of the day, it's trying to get it that it's crystal clear to people how to do things and what to watch out for, and that. And it's like, what I'm going to go through now is to set up what the actual sliders do, but a bit more than most people. They kind of waffle through it really quick, and you're like, okay, but what exactly is that doing? I want to be able to show that. But it's part-wise why I strap those motors to the table, because there's adjustments that you think, oh, they're not going to be that important. Wow, it makes a difference. Going from 5 to a 1 and then moving the slider, it's boom, 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 night and day. So I want to go through that with you guys. But first off, once you're connected, so you're on setup, right, other thing, I only found this out yesterday because it was bugging me. What is the difference there? Do you notice that we used to have on this side, it said joystick and everything? And yesterday I was like, I thought I had joystick motion. Where's my joystick motion button? And then I watched a couple of videos. I needed to expand my bloody window. Duh. Okay, so basically, in order that you can use, I'm trying to get as small as possible, in order that you can see these buttons here, these, because you need joystick and you need hardware. It's like, really, sometimes I think I'm so dumb. Anyhow, so right now we're on hardware, so you go to setup. Obviously you've got to have a license, which if you've got DOF, they'll sort you out with that and everything. I've got my own license, blah, blah, blah. I'm premium, so I can use joystick. Where are we at? So we want to come down to motion. We want it enabled, and we then come here, we pick what we've got. I've got a P2. Now this is why I picked DOF Reality, because SRS recognises their system, and I don't think you have to have something that's recognised by them, but I think it's easier if it is, that you can simply plug and play and have normal motion and joystick motion, because there's only 2 bike games that really have full, or 3 I should say, that have full telemetry, and that's GP bikes, MX bikes and MotoGP 18. I can't get a MotoGP 18 to install on my computer. It won't work. I've got to look at that one. But GP bikes is why I build my systems. So I'm a happy bunny, but it also means I love ride. So I've got Ride 5 coming. There's the crew. MotoGP. But most important for me, Isle of Man TT. I can do Isle of Man TT in VR on my sit-on system with my controllers. Now I'm going to be able to do it with motion because of joystick motion. So let's have a look at what all this does. Because I lost the cam, I hate it when I have to talk and you can't see me. It's not the vain thing, it's like being face to face with someone. So I'm going to have to move this camera so it's on the motors, and you're going to have to take my word for it as to what I'm doing, because when it comes to turning the bars and you're not being able to see them and the reaction that's going through the motors, that's the important thing. But you will, like if I'm in GP bikes and that, you'll be able to see how the bike is going and understand the arms, but you have to understand the arms will be in reverse to what you're seeing on the screen, because you're looking at them from the front and the bike from behind. Well, you won't, because I'll be in first person, but you'll understand what I mean. So I'm going to have to disappear. I'm going to say bye-bye. Make myself even smaller, I think. Well, no, as long as you can see that, because I've got to get the camera. Right. I've got to close the window because it's in the bloody way of my view of the window you're looking at. And I want it to be as good as possible. Right. So I should be able to come up just a bit. Zoom out a bit and then you'll see the bars as well. I know you can just about see the bars there. So now I can't zoom out anymore. But that way you can see the arms moving and the handlebars. That'll be those red bits. You'll see my hands go on them. These bits here. Hello at the top. Right. So you've connected, you've done all of that. So now I'm not playing with auto smooth low, but we just want to test it. So now all you're going to do is press start test. I haven't tested it, I've only just plugged it in, so it better bloody be working. Right, when you actually click on the point, you see how it goes, those little brackets around it. So now you can use the left and right arrow on the keyboard to move it. If you see both the arms, they're going down. Now they're coming up. Now when you're doing testing, they're going to be slow. They don't have any speed to them. It's purely a test. And one of the good things is as well, you can use this to make sure that your system is set to, say, a neutral design, because I need to know exactly that those are 0 at that pitch point and roll point, so that when I pull the gearbox off the motors and then turn them 180 degrees by hand, I know I've started off from the right place, and I know that if it's a 1 to 30 transmission, I turn it 30 times, I can do a index mark on the slot in the shaft and I'll get it exactly 180 degrees. So it's good to use different software for referencing points. So you see we've had that. So now go to our roll. So if I roll right, you'll see what for you is going to be the left one, but is in fact for me the right one. Going down, the left one coming up. Now you can see it going the opposite way. Now maybe, if I think about it, I could get this window a little bit bigger. Let me try and get it a little bit bigger, maybe like that. Oh shit, I have my mouse on the picture in OBS and I press the button instead of pressing the one that's here. So there you should be able to see they move very slowly. I mean, once we do an actual testing game and everything, well actually you'll see it pretty quick anyhow. Because I'm going to do joystick motion next. Right. So I'll set those back to 0. So basically that said, right, my system is now ready to go. So all you need to do is make sure the game you want to play is in the games at the top. You go through your list. I mean, the first one we're going to use is going to be GP Bikes because it has telemetry and that. So GP Bikes is what we'll use, and that says ready to play. So you simply see it here. You don't have to do anything more. You just have SRS open, and as soon as you start the game, it will hook. Now, if you go to tuning, motion, this is where fun happens. You have all the different settings for your max angle, but this won't show until you start a game. You have to have a game started. So we'll get into that in a little bit. First off, while we're still here, we'll go back to setup and jump in to the simplest of things, joystick. I'm going to do this properly in a next video, but just to show you how the motors actually work, I'm going to turn. You see, if I turn my handlebars, and you see that I've already set it up, and this is what I'm going to skip for now, but I'll do in another video. My left, right, front and back, which is basically my pitch and my roll. So left and right is obviously roll, front and back is my pitch. So I've got my left and right to my handlebars, and my front is on the brake, and the back is on the throttle. So if I turn my throttle, You can see where it says back, it goes dark. Front, I'm hitting the brakes. Go left. Oh, sorry, go right. Go left. And you can see it. Okay. Now, if I say at the top here, joystick status on, with luck, you can see our motor's starting to work. I've got a sticky one for some reason. I don't know, it does this, it's me holding the handlebars in the wrong area. Of course, you've got my bars cockeyed. See, I'm looking at the picture, I keep forgetting I've actually got my handlebars lent a bit angle. But you can see how it actually works. And that's without a game. So that is in the fundamentals of what joystick motion is. It means when the game doesn't have the ability to send out telemetry so that a motion system will work, SROs have cleverly made it that you can calibrate. Well, you don't actually calibrate it, you calibrate it in Windows, but you can actually assign joystick inputs to certain axes for motion so that it works the same. And that's exactly the same as the steering wheel, because my handlebars work exactly the same as the steering wheel. You know, it's... That table's actually jumping. I got one sticking motor though. Oh, I'm leaning. A lot of it is, it's very hard. These bars are very sensitive. So this, and I've got zero dead zone. So they've only got to be off a slight angle, and it will make one of those motors think that it's at an angle. I mean, that is hardly moving, but that's how sensitive it is. Now, we go to tuning. You see how motion's now turned on. Because I've got joystick turned on, it now allows me to adjust tuning. Whereas if I turn joystick motion off, that'll blank until you start a game. So you've got to remember that. So if I go back here, then joystick motion off, come to tuning, it's dead again. But because you've got joystick motion on, you need to be able to adjust it. Now, if you remember earlier, I said about some numbers, you won't believe how big a difference they can make. And the ones that I noticed were pitch and roll, because those are the only ones I use. Excuse me. So it's on 1 right now, because I kind of like it a little bit violent. We're on a bike. And I should really actually, I think I'm going to turn these down to 19, because I think it's called clipping. It's where it's a bit too, yes, we're going to say that. It's a bit too strong. But these numbers here, if you notice my pitch, so if we go, actually I think I can do it. See how sharp it goes. If I now change this to 5 and save, it won't work unless you save it. See how big a difference that is? And I'm giving the exact same amount of throttle and holding my bars at the wrong place. But you notice the amount of difference. So, yeah, I'm going to be a bitch for my first test ride on the real system, because I am going to have it a bit harsh. But that is basically how you do that. And then you've got the actual amount that it's going to move. So if I go back, get back there, oh you bitch. And now I turn these down, it'll be a less amount of movement. And a lot slower, but it's smoother. You see, you can adjust it in so many different ways. You're going to really want to play around. I might actually even, right, guys, I want to go by fives. Pigs. Right. Now obviously just testing the motors like this, is different, but it depends for when you're in game trying to ride. So yeah, we're going to have to experiment. But that's the basics with those. Now, there are more. So reaction speed, obviously, is the speed it does it, max angle. So if we bring max angle down, 49, that's near enough to 50. Actually, maybe you don't have to say it, we'll have to try it. You see, that is literally half the movement it was doing before. Oh yeah. So it is physically, it says what it says, and it doesn't have any other number next to it. So yeah. With that I just need 100. Smoothing I don't want. And because I'm not actually on the system, I don't think I'll feel it for now. Reaction speed, I want it. I tried it 100%, and that's where you get a bit of what's called clipping. The motors will click. I'm not going to put it up there and show you because I don't know if it damages the motors, but you don't want to have your motors clicking or clipping, I think they're called. Boost is for once you're on track, you can actually feel the small bits of vibration, stuff like that. Once again, I can't reach the motors, and you won't see the small amounts of movement. Those we've gone through. I can't do traction loss. I'm not sure about wheel slip. Don't want to do cannon firing. Smoothing effects I haven't tried yet, and I won't know until I have it on the full rig. But that's your basics of those particular sliders and what they do, and that you can do that if you're using joystick motion. So turn that off. Oh yes, point. If you use a game that has telemetry, make sure you turn off joystick motion. I don't know if I damaged the Crew 2, but I've had problems with it. because I started the game, had SRS on and had joystick motion on, and it gave me a load of problems, and I was just too tired last night, so I haven't tried it since. But no, don't have joystick motion on if you're using a game that has actual telemetry. It will screw it up. Right. So, are we at the point of starting games? I think we are actually, aren't we? So I think I can slide this over, get rid of it. Yeah. Oh, and show a quick pic. This is the basic design of, let's get me get out of the way. So that's the basic concept of where the motors and everything are going to be. For those that watch after the whole DOF bit, I'll be showing some of the components I'm going to use, like the universal joint and that, and also I've got some really nice rod ends, and I've got a full R1M Yamaha racing body kit, a very nice one, Kevlar reinforced, and yes, it's going to be sweet. So we can move that for now. Right, so SRS is up, handlebars is connected, and we need GP bikes. So that means I hate Steam. I really hate Steam with a passion. It takes over the computer. It is a pain in the bum, and it's full of crap that I don't like. A quick check. No, nothing. Updates. GB bikes. Right, we're not going into the R, are we? And of course, my camera is right in the middle of the bloody screen. Oh well. We're only going to be on A1 ring, so I'm not going to do a long test. And see, the thing is, as you notice, I won't need to set anything up in GB Bikes. It's all set up through SRS, and I've got the screen on, so I've got SRS on another screen, tuning open, and I'm going to drag it over now, and you can see it's showing that my tuning motion, I'm here. We go to games, it might show GP bikes ready to play. It doesn't say connected. Why not? Normally it had over here, it would actually say what bike I'm on. Okay, so I'll put that there and I'll wait and see. Point. Am I connected? Yeah, I seem to be. Clutch, front brake, and steering, because this has got no foot controls. Okay, done with that. What bike have we got? Oh, I haven't been out on this Ducati actually. It's only just been released, so we got A1 ring. Now, am I forgetting anything? Oh yeah, if you note, settings here are different, and I haven't really played around with them. But it's the same principle as I said, we don't really have to worry about more than pitch and roll. I think I did play with it a bit, yeah. Alright, smoothing on 50, so I must play with it a bit. I'm not going to worry about it for now. Let's just go to the track. My Jackie's got warm. I'm trying to look. Now I've got it in automatic transmission because I'm riding without foot controls and I wanted to be able to just concentrate. So you see as I accelerate, but you've got to remember this is actual motion. Joystick motion is off. I'm looking at the picture in the corner where I can see what's on screen and not looking at where the hell I'm riding. And I forgot I wanted a Ducati that I haven't ridden before. I don't know it's braking. I'm trying to look where those arms are. Oh shit. I look where the arms are and I totally missed that braking spot. So what's it do when you do? Right, have I got a reset on this? I don't know. What did I do with the reset? Ah, it's there. So does it reset the motors as well now that I'm up? It's minimal movement, but when you think, when you're actually on the bike, it's not that much movement. Oh, and I didn't really show it, but as we were coming down the hill, they were pointing downwards because we were going downwards, but now the arms should go up more as we start to climb the hill. As we climb the hill, you see how the arms are going up. We're starting to go down the hill. The arms are going down. I'll make a better video. It's hard to really see it properly. Yeah, I like this Ducati. Yeah, because we're going up the hill, even though I'm braking, it's still showing that we're going up. And it's showing that we're pointing up that hill. That is pretty steep. That's cool. Right, so that's the first test. I can see, oh, as soon as I hit escape. Oh yeah, if you hit escape, so if you go out of the game, the bikes know that it's not reading the bike up in the air anymore. So what it's doing is it suddenly dropped. It thought that the bike had suddenly fallen through the fucking floor. Motors can move really, really quick if they want to. In fact, that one's fucking moved itself over, isn't it? I'm glad I bloody strapped them to the table because they would have jumped off. But once I get another camera, I'll do a better a better video so you can properly see. But obviously I'll be doing full build videos. So that was that. Now, this is where it gets exciting for me. I love the idea of this. Because I can ride Isle of Man TT3 in VR. Right, so I'm going to turn the joystick motion on. And this is what is going to be beautiful. That even though TT Isle of Man, Ride, MotoGP, all the games don't have any motion, I can get some. It's not going to be perfect, but same as the VR is not perfect, but it's far better than being on a flat screen. Right, so, but I need to start my little friend. So that TT Isle of Man thinks my system is a gamepad. Right. So people can see X360. So yeah, baby. Right. Okay, A, B, make sure I've got the right button configuration there. Head bumpers, let me start. Right. Stick that over there. A little bit smaller. And hit play. Right, well that's loading. I'm getting a refill. I'll be back in a sec. Oh, I'm sorry people, I needed a refill, but I also need an exfil. Ah. I could not have been quicker. Sorry. Right. I don't need to know if anyone's even actually watching, but... Right, press key. Can I just press a button? Why is it these companies that make stuff for consoles make it you got to press A 20 bloody times? Jeebers. Right, so you haven't set anything up, but if you look at my arms, they move as the bike is moving. Remember that you're watching those arms, they're moving in the opposite way to the bike because it's like facing the wrong way. And I don't like reversing videos just for that kind of technical point. The whole point is to show that I got the system from DOF and without doing anything except using the right cable and having a dicky emergency switch, any game is possible to use with motion. Oh yeah, I forgot, I've got to change gear. Fuck, which one is gear? That one, yeah. Oh, why is it? Oh, I'm getting stuttering, I don't know why. Now I want to see if it notices that I go downhill. Oh no, it won't because it's joystick motion, that's right. See, I was thinking, okay, definitely going to have to... It's going to be once I get on the system and it's connected where I'm sitting on top of it. And I might have my steering's way too sensitive, I think. I can't change gear with a button, it's killing me. So I'm not going to ride much, I just want to make sure that the motion's working in the game. I'm going to have to play with settings once I get in. You see, I think I've got the throttle set that it comes up far too early. And it stays up. It's the only thing I'm going to have to figure out. But it works. So that's the one thing I wanted to show. So yeah, I mean, these are the basics of the DOF Reality P2 system. And that goes for all of their systems in general. Very easy, out of the box to set up. It's a case of just making sure you don't use USB 3 cables. Oh fuck, hit the wrong bloody button, you dickhead. Don't use USB 3 extension cables on it. And yeah, if you've got an emergency stop button, leave it unplugged when you first plug the system in, would be the best recommendation on that. Start there so that USB tree view exe in the DOF Reality tools. Start that, have that open when you plug the system in, and it'll tell you straight off if you're connected or not. Don't rely on anything else, just use that and it will give you a 100%, yeah, you're connected to the computer, it's recognized. Only then would you use SRS or anything else. Make sure SRS or anything else, SMC3, everything must be turned off before you do that. Okay, so we're going to get out of here, and then basically that's the DOF Reality bit over. Right now it's going to be about where am I putting the parts. Yes, because as most of my viewers know, it will be going in there to start with. So, yeah, that's the actual place she's going, and all my measurements and everything I've done have worked out so damn good. So I'm really happy with it. So we're gonna dump steam now and get bigger again, so that I'm going to be able to show you some parts, which means you're going to have to look at me and not my beautiful CBR. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with that frame though. It's a static and it is adaptable for motion, but totally differently. And it was originally designed to sit on top of a DOF. So, yeah, go figure. Right, I'm going to have to drag you over here. I can't remember why I left the emergency start there. Right, I suppose we turn this up a bit and over here a bit. See the havoc of my place. Oh. Right. So I'm intrigued. In fact, I'm going to turn, let me, excuse me a second, I'm going to turn the DOF box off. Right. And disconnect power and USB, which we can now also take from being over my bloody table. Okay. So, oh, I'm fucking knackered. I've got 6 weeks to build the prototype using my CBR and an R1M to go out to Malaysia for the Malaysian MotoGP for Yamaha. So it's not directly for Yamaha, it's a company that has really small, like the kiddie kind of sit on things. They want to scale up, but they do it for Yamaha, so yeah, it's going to be a thing. I shall be showing those bits in a little bit, but I wanted to get to like the components besides the DOF that I'm going to be using, because it's what's connected to the motors and how the motor is going to, the environment it's working in. is the point. So, actually, no, I need to make myself smaller again because I do need to show this again. Yeah, fucking turn it off. No, I left it on. Right, so, base concept. If you look at most people that have these so-called simulators, there are a couple of companies that they're real simulators. But, I mean, if you look at Ellipse needs 2 stories because you have to have a basement to have the electronics, and then the bike sits on top. So I have the caddy. Yeah, I think I can do that in my front room. So there's also the one that's being used, like the MotoGP trainer. But you've got to have a fucking whole bike and the whole space and this and that and everything. I want it to be just like there's a bike there. All right, I've got those legs coming down. I am planning on something that will make them look like wheels. Very lightweight, and it's hard because the way the fairing moves, the fairing would actually hit a wheel. So because I want to keep it as minimalistic as possible, it's the only way I can do it, and I want to keep it all inside the bike if possible. I think with the Yamaha, the boxes are going to have to be on the outside, therefore I've got extension cables. But my Honda, I can take the control box and the motors and put them inside that fairing. It'd be balanced and work. But everything has to be smooth, it has to be reliable, it has to be strong. And I have spent so many years now, and over the last 6, I've just hammered it, literally hammered it out. Ooh, there's a red sky. Does that mean we might have a nice day? Sorry. I can just see out my window, red sky at night, shepherd's delight, yay! So you can see from the concept, and I'll skip through a couple of pictures here. It's not going to lean all that much because the way my bars work, you actually end up leaning twice as much. So it only works out at 40 degrees. And you are sitting static in a room. You see, when you're riding down the road on a bike, you've got Mother Nature, okay, pinning you to that bike. You can go like that, put your arms out, everything, and you're stuck on the bike, and you can lean, and you can steer the bike because you're moving forward, and you have all these different motions, all these different physics working on your body to hold you there. Sitting on my system, the only force is gravity, and that is downwards. So, on a motion system, you have to really be practical. You see these big ones that swing like this, they've got these extremely powerful fast motors that are basically not giving you time to fall off. And if you build a system right, your legs are pinning you on. But the reality is, how much motion do you need to feel the lean? And because my handlebars work on the SPSS design, and it literally makes you lean. You're already going to be leaning, and then the bike's leaning with you. And believe me, I've tested all this. I have tested every single design. On my static system in VR, if I go around turn 3, 4, 5 and 6 of A1 ring, I feel like I'm over 50, 60 degrees. All you need to do is add that slight amount. That's all that's needed. And for public use, it's the safest. My systems work. So anyone that wants to say, oh no, it needs to be more, don't bother watching anymore because it ain't going to lean more, because I won't make it work more, because it doesn't need to be, and it's stupid. Okay? And I don't want to think about how much it would cost per 10 degrees of lean more. And that's why these companies are charging literally hundreds of thousands and having to take 2 stories to build one, because it takes that technology, that cost. You have to compromise, people. So yeah, stupid design. Oh, it got small, didn't it? Right, let's get rid of that anyhow. Yeah, I don't need it. Right, I'm going to make myself bigger again. I like being big. Not really. It means you can see how bad my moustache is. I need to... Actually, I was buggering around with Zoom and everything earlier. Oh yeah, needed a shave. But I forgot to do my tash. So, right, that went out fucking 5 minutes ago. So one of the most important points on this is, and when there's a lot of problems and controversy, right, so everyone's been using the SFU motors with these gear motors from DOF, because there's that play in it, sloppiness. Well, a lot of that is, you can compensate for it. Simplest things, ball joints. And I started cheating. I got these. Now I like to use racing components because they're guaranteed. You can use them on a race car or a race bike. It ain't gonna break on a simulator. So these lovely rod ends and that, they are very highly heat treated. They are the best material you can get, and cheap, but ain't expensive. But the beauty is they're Teflons. So where you've got your ball movement, normally it's just a brass movement. So it's kind of like lubed and it's just brass moving. But this is Teflon, and because of that Teflon layer means there's basically no play. I mean, I have really tried getting some out. No play whatsoever. And these are the first means of communication from the motor to the frame. So you've got rod end on the motor, then you've got your arm, and then the next one going to the frame. So any slop in these you really feel. And it can be the minimal amount and you'll feel it. It's unbelievable. But also, it's because the limited amount of movement on a ball joint. My system will only do 20 degrees, and that's basically because they're physically only designed for that. You look at any motion system, most of them are only designed for 20 degrees. All of these bike sims are purpose built for over, but any basic simulation system is around the 20 degree limit. These ball joints won't do that, because when you look at them, rather I'll bring you one, you look at that, there's not much space there to actually move something. But if you can see the chamfer, what I do is I take stainless bolts and I chamfer them so that the bolt can go over further. Normally it would only go that far because it would stop, but because I chamfered it, it can go all the way down. And then on the other side, I've got these really skinny but really strong stainless that allows the opposite reaction. And I gain an extra 5 degrees, a bit more. But what it means is there's no given point, and this is what also causes problems, is that there is a contact and you feel that through the movement, and it causes a roughness, and it can cause overheating of motors. So high quality rose joints, chamfered stainless steel Allen bolts, and a stainless spacer. That's it. Don't take much. And I cut that stainless stuff with a pipe cutter. Right, that's those. So now we've gone from the motor, what's going to connect to the frame. Now you want the lower frame, which is going to be stationary, and then the top frame that has to move. So actually, let's see if I can bring up a better picture. So I think the latest one should be 7. I'll make sure I open the right thing. Right. So I'll make myself smaller again. Now the reason I'm explaining this is so, I want to sell my product, but I'm not going to give all the secrets away. But what we've been talking about is, you see the red damper. That might not even need to be used. But we've got the motor at the front. You see a linkage going from bottom to the top. You see our universal joint. And basically we've gone from, you've seen the motors, you see what's going to go into the rods. Obviously the rod linkage is going to be substantial. I'll get onto that when I have it to show you. I don't have one in yet because I'm going to make my own. Next we're going to talk about is universal joint. So I'm going to minimise and maximise me a bit at a time, so I can show you the components, so you get an understanding of kind of quality I work with and what we need. So basically DOF uses their own universal joint, which is very simply made and pretty ingenious actually. But it's hard enough building my bloody handlebars and foot controls and having the problems I've got with my wrists, that if I know I can get a component that will function and do it 100% better than I could ever do, and it ain't that expensive, I'll do it. So I found, oh damn, what are their names? Shit. Company in England, drive shaft parts, really cool guys, and you can get this stuff online, but I needed a certain dimension because I'm using a certain size steel, blah blah blah, and I got these, which is lovely. And you're looking at that and saying, well, that's a big round arse head, and that's because that tube's not obviously that bloody round, but I've got a trick. But these things are substantial, and they come from, you know, those big old American Jeeps. I'm talking about the big ones. That's off of one of them. They just happen to have the right dimensions. Not cheap as chips, but that ain't gonna break. But I did have to go to my local, it actually happens to be my local pub that also has a workshop, because he's got a car sales business as well. So I was able to pop down there, have a pint, and use his press to build these. But no, those will be the new joints I'll be using. And so that is the basic physics of that unit. It couldn't be simpler. If you look at the diagram, it couldn't be simpler. Looks a bit like a dog. I don't know. Mind you, it could be called the Terminator if I slide it over. That's the view from the front. Oh shit. The other buttons, what did I do? Oh, you didn't see it anyhow. I forgot I still have my window. I do this so often. No, but that is the front view. So it kind of makes me think of the Terminator. And that's actually a really old one. How did I get to that one? Bloody hell, I must have flicked back a couple. No, that's the problem one there. But, you see, that was only finished 6 of the 8th. So now that's even the old one. Bloody hell. So, no, it's... I think it would be easy on my CBR because, see that fairing, it's actually pretty fat. And the motor's sliding there so easy with the frame in between, and it's going to be the same size still. And that box sits in the bottom of that fairing so sweetly. I'm like, ooh, I like that. So, yeah, that'd be a plus. I mean, mine's going to have the box inside without fucking fail. I want it to look as little different from that as possible. And with the motor position, they'd be right behind the fairing. I'll be like, yeah. And with the butt kicker and VR, I shall be in heaven. You know what? I used to really, really miss riding, so I haven't had a bike since I've been back in the UK. So I haven't had anywhere to live where I could fucking park one safely or have the money for one. So I haven't worried about it, and I put everything into this design. But because I can do what I do and get on my baby, I don't do it. I don't miss it as much. I still miss it. Fuck yes. It's also the problem. I only ride what I build. I don't have 40,000, £50,000 to pay for parts and machining and fucking everything else for what I would design and build. I've got 4 designs. I think I know the one it's going to be, but so my babies are my babies, and they get me through. None of the times I stroke the arse on that fucking bike, I look at it, I just walk over, I have to sit down, I'll grab a fucking Jackie, have a smoke, and I'll just go over and sit on it. I'm like, oh, just to sit on a bike. So, that's my CBR, but now I've got to put it in an R1M. And that's a different fucking animal, and the biggest problem is the fairing. Because you can't get, the MotoGP fairings are slab side, just like my CBR, which is in fact the RCV 211 from 2005 bodywork, but also CBR on the street. So they had that slab side race fairing, but so did the street bike. Whereas now the R1M on the streets doesn't have the MotoGP style fairing, and you can't get one. I'm trying to from Yamaha because they have one of my systems. They got one of my R1s, but they've been delayed. I was supposed to have gone down to London to put it in the shop in March. I think they're not having a good year when it comes to MotoGP. So, right, so I think I'm going to show part of the R1M. Right, we start at the front, don't we? So I'm not going to show it all, but this is also so and from Malaysia can see it, and we're doing a proper video, but obviously you can see there, and this is how they come, and they're Kevlar reinforced. So they come pre-fitted with your Dutz fasteners. That's how you say it. I can never get it right. So you've got to have fairing. Yeah, if I get my hand out of the way, then you can see it. But you see, if you look at the width here, going across, it's not quite as fat as my CBR. My CBR is a fat bitch, and need that space for the motors. They're going to hang around, but you see space missing here. That's because it has these panels, and those panels are going to cause a problem. I'm not going to show you those because they're not unwrapped. Then, moving backwards, there's something about gas tanks I just love. And the R1M, it's just got a gorgeous damn shape to it. Trying to keep my hands out of the way, it's really hard. And I've got to be careful because those handlebars are over there. I'm going to whack them and scratch the tank. But this is how it comes. And you see all those Kevlar bits for mounting. Plus I actually strengthen them and that. And then I have these. It's going to be hard to put in there. So, gas caps that I mount. So it'll look quite pretty. But it's trying to get it inside that Yamaha is going to be tight. And then, one of the sexiest parts, the bum pad. And these are really, absolutely so good to ride on. I'm really pissed I never did a good video of the one that went to Yamaha, because it took me so long to do the speaker kit. There's no underneath, but there's also an underneath part as well that goes on there and that. But it's just like, when you look at it from the rear, because it doesn't have the underneath part, you don't have it where you get these like vent light going through. But that is a sweet tailpiece. And these, when I go to Malaysia, the guy is going to skin them in original MotoGP colours. So I can't wait to see that. Shame it's not going to be done here. But MotoGP is in November, and I haven't even started building. It starts Monday. I've still got about 35-40 orders to make. So oh yeah, one last part. So I mean, you've seen where we're going. This is only part one. But for myself, because I'm now up in mind to motion, I'm going to upgrade my handlebars a little bit. So I'm going to do some niceties to it, because the normal, the alley plates are only like, boom, alley plates. So I thought, fuck it. I love hand polishing stuff. It's not finished, but so this is going to be my fault bridges and that. So these lovely fault bridges. This bit of reflection there. They're actually a bit dirty, so but I also 3D printed these fault caps. And got some other ones, and I like the gold and the red. I made up a load of shit. Just that's what I liked in colour. I like a bit of contrast. So fuck it. Those could be my new fault bridges. And and I'm going to add a lot more carbon and everything to mine as well. So where it's all normal, just black, it's going to be carbonised. I should start cutting the steel this week for the frames. I've sent off most of the designs for the laser cuts. I only got the motors yesterday, so I needed dimensions for the bolt holes. I had a rough idea, but because I couldn't get the info from Igor, I wanted to have them in my hand. So I needed to get some backy, so I took one of the motors down to the pub with me, sat in the beer garden, measured everything up, and so I've done the laser designs. So now I've just got to put them into the computer, print them up, get those sent out to my laser cutter. But most laser cuts are now being done, but it might take 3 weeks to get those, and I can't bolt a fucking thing together without those laser cuts. So, yeah, it's a bit of a bitch. But I've got a lot to do. So, not just one, but two. It's going to be a hard one. But thank you for watching this, and I hope the earlier bit with DOF helped a few people. I know it's only small points, but at the end of the day, I've been well with computers since I first came out, and there's still things you don't know, and some of the simplest things just aren't out there. So I thought, right, I'll make a video that's about the simplest of bloody things, because I couldn't find them and needed to know. But yeah, I'll update the series as I go, and I'm looking forward to the one where I can be riding. It's gonna be a hell of a fucking road, I know that one. So people, I think I've covered everything. Let me think for a second, because I don't want to leave and then there was something that I should say. No. Right, you can all bugger off. I'm going to put some music on, do some design work, and get that done for Monday. And I wish you all a good weekend. Thank you for watching. Hope you join next time. And if someone's got any questions, needs a bit of help, please feel free to ask. Actually, on this one, my email's not posted around the edge. I turn the edge off. I normally have a background, but I turned it off because I wanted people to be able to see all the buttons or whatever I had to show in a different software. So thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Have a good one. Right, as always, where's the bloody button? See you, people.